I recently got into a little conversation debate with a Christian apologist who claimed that I needed to be more open-minded. I was being too close-minded about the way the world really was, and that the materialistic, naturalistic view was too narrow a view, that I should be keeping an open mind and allow for all possibilities. Now, allowing for all possibilities is a little stupid, in my opinion. But allowing for more possibilities than we consider to be the truth about the world right now, fine, I'm down with that. But what you have to show me is you have to show me some sort of evidence, some sort of reason to believe that something exists rather than something doesn't exist. And after a lot of debating, he finally gave me evidences. These are those evidences. Everything that exists begins to exist has a cause. The universe began, the Big Bang. Therefore, it too must have a cause. Well, there's logic at work there. The Big Bang didn't create order and universal laws. It was chaos. So what organized the universe and set the fundamental laws to which everything must abide? Chance? I doubt it. Well, you can doubt it all you want, but it could still be true. Number two, whatever caused the universe could only have been timeless, immaterial, and spaceless, non-natural or unnatural. Why? Why must whatever created the universe or caused the universe have any attributes that we put to it at all? There's only one thing that we know that has these characteristics. What? Why should we presume to know any of the characteristics of a God if there was one? And being immaterial for a Christian viewpoint is certainly not one of them. Number three, how do we know it's a sentient being? God, I'm assuming we're talking about now. Order and universal laws that govern this universe. This is the fine-tuning argument. So again, I ask you, how do they come about if not from an intelligence that's unnatural? By random fluctuations, multiverse theory, there could be lots of answers. Chance? If you think so, think again. Who has deluded beliefs? Is it chance that the Earth formed in the right place at the right time? No, what does that even mean? What is the right place at the right time? The Earth couldn't have formed, let's say, 1 billion years after the Big Bang because the materials needed in the universe weren't there yet, or at least not to the degree that we need them now. Is it chance that the other planets are in the right places in the correct order? Or that the planet has the right sized moon? Or that our sun is the right temperature, right distance, right size, and life expectancy? If so, then I'm not the one with blind faith. Anthropic principle, like you couldn't be here asking these questions if some of these things were not the case. But there are hundreds of billions of stars in the galaxy, and according to recent estimates, probably billions and billions of planets. Now, what are the chances that of billions and billions of planets, one could form in a reasonably large zone, the Goldilocks zone, at the right size at the right time? I think the chances are pretty damn good. Number four, life cannot come from non-life. It's been scientifically proven. We've managed to create the components of life, but not life itself. It's not the same thing. Now, this is the one I have serious problems with. It's been scientifically proven that life cannot come from non-life. Yet earlier on in our conversation, he derided me for being too close-minded about the way that the world was, that science and the materialistic, naturalistic worldview weren't the whole thing. And yet, you're stating that life cannot come from non-life, and that could somehow be ever scientifically proven. even if it hadn't been proven yet, which it has, abiogenesis, the fact that it could never be scientifically proven is just an idiotic statement to make. Your whole argument was based around the idea that science wasn't, that our current worldview wasn't all that there was to the world, that there's more to the universe than it is currently encompassed by science, by our real knowledge of the world. Number 5. Christianity is the only well-scientifically evidenced faith in the world, and this is a fact. Most of its claims are backed by science, unlike most other faiths. What could you possibly be talking about? What does Christianity have scientific-wise over any other faith? I challenge any Christian to give me an answer to that. Number 6. History proves that a man named Jesus Christ existed. Historians, Jewish ones, prove that he was a man of miracles who did unnatural works. Now, how can you prove something is unnatural? Especially historically. This is an idea that's actually I've been mulling over for a while. I began as a Christian, and then I began to more have the idea that maybe Jesus was just, there was a guy named Jesus, and then like stories got made up about him and that kind of stuff. That, you know, the general idea of Jesus was there, but people later on just tacked on other ideas. This seems, and still seems like it's a reasonable position to make. But I'm less and less of this opinion. I'm not convinced that he didn't exist, but I'm less and less of this opinion now. And I just refer you to this series of videos that I think is excellent, sub to this guy, because it's definitely something to think about. Number 7. Archaeology proves the existence of civilizations that were thought to be non-existent, whatever that means, yet the Bible claims they existed. So people thought the Bible made up stories, and then you're saying it turned out the Bible didn't make up some of the stories about some of the people, and therefore God exists. Yeah. He says, I could go deeper, but for now, do you accept the previous pieces of evidence or not? Not. If you do, I'd be glad to go deeper. If not, then clearly the most accepted evidence that has converted many top skeptics who won't convince someone who's already made up his mind before he even looked at the evidence with the hunger to learn. Is that like the pot calling the kettle black, or what? Look at evidence of the world. Look at scientific evidence. Read a book. Study. The existence of Christ has far more evidence than to other famous historical figures like Caesar, for example. Caesar, I'm assuming we're talking about Julius Caesar, not the just generic title that was taken by many of his successors. Caesar, who we have actual writings penned by him of. This Caesar we have less evidence for than Jesus. The Caesar that had his face imprinted on coins. This Caesar? So a lot of this came down to him accusing me of being closed-minded, and me trying to state that I'm not being closed-minded, I'm being skeptical. I'm saying, okay, you've put forth this theory. Now give me evidence to back up this theory. Why should I believe what you say over what somebody else says? Why should I believe that there's fairies living in your garden? Why should I believe that there's an invisible dragon living in your garage? Give me evidence for this. Diuryl left me with an ironic gem that I think I'll leave with you. How then do you ever expect to understand if you pass judgment before you even hear people out? Will you ever open your mind to anything else aside from the things in your own worldview? The day you doubt your beliefs is the day you'll begin to grow. Don't limit yourself to a single worldview, and don't be too quick to judge. I would say, take a dose of your own medicine.